The wait is over. NBA Media Day and training camp are officially here, and that means the off-season rumors are done. Now, the real action begins. This is the time when storylines are born, controversies start brewing, and yes, blockbuster trades begin to feel inevitable. Players will sit in front of microphones, and while some answers may sound routine, others will plant seeds for massive changes that could reshape the league. Because let's be honest, there are still big-name stars who haven't found their final homes yet. Bleacher Report just dropped a list of blockbuster trade scenarios that they believe could realistically happen this season, and some of them are wild enough to actually make sense. So today, we're going to break down the biggest ones, looking at who benefits the most, why certain teams might pull the trigger, and whether I believe these trades should even happen in the first place. But before we dive in, a quick reminder. A surprising number of you watching right now still aren't subscribed. If you enjoy this type of content, consider hitting that button. It helps out a ton and keeps you updated with everything NBA. Alright, let's get into it. The first proposed trade we're looking at? A deal between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Utah Jazz. In this scenario, the Sixers land Lauri Markkanen, while Utah receives Paul George, 1 first-round pick, and 2 second-rounders. Now, Markkanen has been floating around trade rumors ever since his breakout All-Star season with Utah. And this move? It might just be the type of gamble that completely reshapes both franchises moving forward. The Utah Jazz have been hanging onto Lauri Markkanen through all the trade rumors, but let's be real, the clock is ticking. Markkanen is now heading into his 4th year with the Jazz, and instead of moving closer to contention, Utah has slid backward. They just finished dead last in the Western Conference, and the outlook for this season isn't much better. And that's the problem. Markkanen is 28 years old. He's in the prime of his career, ready to contribute to winning basketball. But Utah? They're nowhere near that timeline. That mismatch makes it easy to see why he might be interested in greener pastures, a team where his all-star production actually matters. Enter the Philadelphia 76ers, who may be the perfect landing spot. If you look at Philly's roster right now, the power forward position sticks out as the weakest link. Markkanen fits seamlessly, sliding in without disrupting chemistry or forcing an awkward fit. Honestly, if this deal landed on Philadelphia's desk, they'd probably sign the paperwork before Utah even finished presenting the offer. Why? Because it's a no-brainer. They'd be filling their biggest hole with an all-star forward while also unloading Paul George's disastrous Supermax contract. George's production dipped badly last year, and injuries keep piling up. His deal already looks like an anchor weighing Philly down. Moving him for a player like Markkanen? That's the definition of addition by subtraction. But of course, Utah has its own reasons to hesitate. Trading away their best player for what amounts to an aging star, 1 first-round pick, and a couple of second-rounders feels lopsided. Danny Ainge isn't in the business of handing away assets, and he'll know this deal heavily favors Philadelphia. Still, there's one angle the Jazz might find appealing. Having Paul George in the locker room, one of the league's premier wings of the last decade, could provide valuable mentorship for Utah's young roster. Right now, they lack veteran voices, and George could help steady the ship during this rebuild. Plus, Utah could swallow his contract without too much stress, since winning isn't the priority in the short term. But let's be honest, 1 first-round pick isn't nearly enough. Even if it's the Clippers' 2028 pick, which could become valuable if LA blows things up, it still doesn't match the value of giving up Lauri Markkanen. This proposal? Not terrible, but very unlikely Ainge signs off. Now, let's pivot to a trade idea that's far more intriguing. The next proposal from Bleacher Report involves the Detroit Pistons and the Phoenix Suns. And here's where things get spicy. In this scenario, Detroit receives Devin Booker in exchange for Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, and 3 first-round picks. At first glance, this might sound unrealistic, but when you dig deeper, it's not only fascinating, it's actually something that could make sense for both sides. Think about Detroit. Last season, they got their first taste of playoff basketball in years and nearly shocked the Knicks in the first round. They fell short because of inexperience, not lack of talent. Getting Jaden Ivey back healthy this year is a huge boost, but overall, their offseason didn't dramatically move the needle. So now comes the big question. Do they have enough to take the next leap in the East? That's where star hunting enters the picture. And there may not be a better star target for them than Devin Booker. He's already proven himself as one of the NBA's elite shooting guards, a scorer who thrives in big moments. Why wait around hoping Jaden Ivey develops into a player maybe close to Booker's level when you can just go get Booker himself? It's like that old Family Guy bit. Sure, a boat is a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. The Pistons don't need to gamble on potential when they can acquire the proven star right now. From Phoenix's perspective, this also makes sense. Booker hasn't officially asked for a trade, but he has no reason to endure yet another rebuild in the middle of his prime. The Suns collapsed this summer, and moving Booker for a package of young talent plus draft picks could be the perfect reset button. Landing Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey gives them two promising young pieces to build around immediately. Add Tobias Harris as a veteran stabilizer and 3 first-round picks, and suddenly Phoenix has the flexibility and youth to properly start over. Now picture the Pistons after this move. A backcourt of Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker? That's instantly one of the best in the entire NBA. Cade carried the 3rd highest usage rate in the league last season, and adding Booker lightens that load tremendously. It also allows Cade to play more as a natural floor general, while Booker thrives both on and off the ball, something he's shown he can do at the Olympic level. For Detroit, this trade transforms them from up-and-coming into legitimate Eastern Conference contenders. For Phoenix, it's a chance to avoid mediocrity by securing a future core rather than wasting Booker's prime on a team stuck in the middle. In short, while the Utah-Philly proposal feels unbalanced, this Detroit-Phoenix blockbuster? That's the kind of move that could shake the NBA landscape right now. Devin Booker has spent the last few years adjusting his game in Phoenix, often forced into heavy point guard responsibilities depending on who's been around him. But in Detroit, that wouldn't be the case. The Pistons desperately need another elite playmaker, and adding Booker to their backcourt with Cade Cunningham makes this deal feel like a no-brainer. Now let's move to the next blockbuster trade idea, and this one is massive. The proposal here comes between the Milwaukee Bucks and the San Antonio Spurs. In this scenario, San Antonio receives Giannis Antetokounmpo, while Milwaukee lands Devin Vassell, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and 4 first-round picks. Yeah, I know. That's a huge haul to give up. You're talking about multiple blue-chip prospects, plus 4 picks on top. But here's the truth. If you want a player who has legitimate best player in the world upside while still in his prime, you pay the price. Let's break it down from San Antonio's perspective. Dylan Harper, the number 2 pick in this year's draft, has legit all-star potential. Stephon Castle already has Rookie of the Year honors and has proven himself as a defensive monster on the perimeter. Devin Vassell has steadily improved every season, showing flashes as both a shooter and secondary creator. Losing all 3? Painful, no doubt. But here's the reality check. Once Spurs fans get even a taste of what Giannis, Victor Wembanyama, and De'Aaron Fox could do together, they won't look back. This isn't about sacrificing the future. It's about accelerating it. Wemby is already changing the league as a 7 feet 3 inches shot-blocking alien with guard skills. Giannis is a Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and one of the most dominant forces we've ever seen. Pairing those two is simply unfair. It immediately pushes San Antonio into the title contender conversation. And if you need a reminder of why this is the right move, just look at history. Remember LeBron's first stint in Cleveland? They dragged their feet building around him, wasted his first 7 seasons, and eventually lost him. That became the cautionary tale of what not to do with generational talent. San Antonio cannot afford to repeat that mistake with Wemby. Besides, the Spurs' current roster has a logjam in the backcourt. Fox, Castle, and Harper all struggle from 3, which kills spacing. And when you're trying to maximize a player like Wemby, the last thing you want is clogged lanes. Something or someone would eventually have to give. With this trade, San Antonio solves that puzzle instantly. Fox runs the offense at blazing speed, Giannis and Wemby terrorize opponents on both ends, and wings like Harrison Barnes and Julian Champagny keep the floor spaced with shooting. Good luck scoring on Giannis and Wemby in the same lineup. That's a nightmare for the league. For Milwaukee, this is the rebuild they've been avoiding but desperately need. Giannis has carried them for years, but if he eventually wants out, this package gives the Bucks an incredible restart. They get Harper and Castle, 2 potential franchise cornerstones, plus 4 first-round picks to restock their empty vault. Throw in Vassell, who's already a proven 2-way wing, And suddenly Milwaukee's rebuild looks brighter than expected. It's a blockbuster. It's bold. But honestly, it's a rare win-win trade for both sides. And finally, let's wrap with the last proposal from the article, a deal between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Miami Heat. In this one, Portland receives Tyler Herro, Jamie Jaquez Jr., and Terry Rozier, while Miami lands Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe, Robert Williams, and a first-round pick. This one's fascinating because both sides are in transition. Portland is trying to find the right pieces around Scoot Henderson, while Miami has been searching for that extra push to maximize Jimmy Butler's window. Whether this deal makes sense, or if it tilts too far in one team's favor, depends on how highly you value Sharpe's long-term potential versus Herro's established production. Now, this last trade idea honestly feels like a cruel joke for Miami Heat fans. Remember back in 2023, when the Heat spent the entire summer trying to pair Tyler Herro with Damian Lillard? Fast forward, and in this scenario, it's Portland that ends up with that exact backcourt. You couldn't make it up, it's almost comical. But let's take the humor out for a second and actually break it down. From Portland's perspective, this deal makes sense. They're a young team already stacked with defensive talent. Drew Holiday still locks down the perimeter. Chuma Okeke, or Chimera, depending on how you pronounce it, is one of the most versatile defensive forwards in the league and just made an all-defense team. And Donovan Clingan is stepping into a starting role as a rim protector with elite upside. The Blazers have the defense covered. What they desperately need is scoring. Enter Tyler Herro. He's not just a bucket. He's an established all-star level scorer who can step in immediately and give Portland the offensive punch they're missing. Pairing him with Scoot Henderson in the backcourt balances things out beautifully. Now flip it to Miami's side. What are they really getting here? They'd be shipping out their most reliable scorer for Shaedon Sharpe, who, yes, has tantalizing upside, but is nowhere near Herro's level yet. Remember, Herro was averaging over 20 points per game and won Sixth Man of the Year by the time he was 22. Sharpe, at the same age, is still figuring things out. The rest of the package is essentially role player swaps and salary filler. For a team that's supposed to be maximizing Jimmy Butler's window, this deal doesn't push Miami closer to contention, nor does it change their long-term outlook. Honestly, I don't see it. And that's where we'll wrap today's breakdown. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do any of these trades actually make sense, or are they just wild Bleacher Report dreams?